the search engine, this Pluto and Aquarius, Microsoft is going to integrate ChatGPT and DALL-E E2 into its Bing search engine. So ChatGPT, a natural language system, and this DALL-E 2 have been pegged as the industry's potential disruptors, massive, massive disruptors. So we're going to see that. We're going to also see the integration of a federal digital identity, right? We're going to see that come out, right? That's going to really be promulgated. And we're also going to see with Pluto and Aquarius, this emerging new world order, because there's no denying we are part of a significant inflection point in history, a point in time that feels very uncertain, a bit like the night, right? But when you shift your perspective on the challenges we're facing today, right, you could see, if you shift it from a different perspective, you can see that we're actually on the precipice of a new spring, a new day, a rebirth in a cycle of time. So this is very important to keep in mind. The World Economic Forum, right? Those guys, by the way, most of what they proclamate gets promulgated into policy in the UN, in the federal government, right? All of this. So we have to be very watchful what they say. Now, I am not for the WEF. I'm just telling you that people sort of laugh at these people, but every time, most of what they say ends up becoming law, becoming policy, right? That has very profound impacts on our culture, our society, our industry, and our future. So we're going to see disruptions happening on a global scale, right? But we also have to realize that we're going through a time of transition. And this is what, when we see transiting Pluto and Aquarius is going to conjunct the World Economic Forum Sun-Moon conjunction. Notice it's in the 12th house, right? 12th house is connected to what? Secret organizations, the deep state. So this is like the global deep state, hidden in plain sight, right? Spectre, think of Spectre. If you've all watched the recent James Bond film a few years back, Spectre, right? Where James Bond is witnessing a meeting in Spectre of all these globalists that are pulling they're basically pulling the strings, and that, world leaders and markets are all just basically, puppets, and they're the puppet masters. This is exactly what we're talking about here, and that all of these policies that they're talking about will come to a peak. Their goal in terms of what the astrology is showing is 2029, that their goal is to reset everything for us all in 2029. And this has to do with stakeholder capitalism and global governance, Pluto and Aquarius, for a cohesive and sustainable world, right? Stakeholder capitalism. This is what the FTX collapse was going to be part of the mechanism where they were going to implement stakeholder capitalism. So again, here's the chart. And what I'm looking at here is what's happening in 2023 that directly is connected to 2029. And one of the things I'm looking at is where the World Economic Forum is to accelerate the push for the Metaverse surveillance networks at Davos, where Klaus Schwab, for those of you who don't know who Klaus Schwab is, he's the leader. That's Klaus Schwab, right? He basically says the Metaverse will come to represent the next major computing platform. The Metaverse will influence the way people, governments, companies, and society at large think, work, interact, and communicate for the purpose of collectively addressing issues on the global agenda, their agenda, right? Universal basic income. So you're going to need a central bank-backed digital currency. We're not talking about Bitcoin, right? And we're talking about universal basic income that provides everyone with a minimum wage, or minimum living wage, right? Whether employees or otherwise, meaning you don't have choice. You will get this money, whether whether you don't need the money, whether you do need the money, you're going to get this money. So you're going to see more of this emergence this year, 2023, a real serious discussion in the Biden White House or the Kamala White House, right, of universal basic income to address the disruptive innovations that are going to occur, especially when we see this massive die-off effect where corporations like GE, just keep in mind, when we talk about this die-off, right, this capital destruction, this creative destruction, you got to keep in mind, folks, the number one company in 2000 that a majority of baby boomers held their pension fund in was GE. GE is out of business and has been delisted in 2022. So the number one company is out of existence. You don't hear that in the news. Here's my prediction. The number one companies in 2023, right, won't be in existence by 2033, right? This is the level of capital destruction we're talking about. So when all these people get laid off, what are they going to need? Universal basic income. We're going to start seeing it. Now, the first country I see that being pushed out is Great Britain. I believe Great Britain is going to be the model for the World Economic Forum. I thought at first it would be, and then the US will follow. So it's going to be sort of like they're going to, the UK will be sort of the way, all right, let's test this out first, see where it works, where we need to fix it. Then we'll deploy it in the US and then we'll make it a global policy, right? So the other big thing happening is with Pluto and Aquarius, nearly 90% of the online content will be generated by AI by 2025. Now that's coming directly from Google. Google already knows this is going to happen, but they don't know. They right now are not in a position to be generating that content. Microsoft is positioning themselves. And the other big thing we need to keep in mind here is that ChatGPT, right? We just have the third iteration, the fourth iteration, the latest and most advanced artificial intelligence system developed by OpenAI, which now is merging with Microsoft. Microsoft basically is essentially the partner company, or eventually the parent company integrating with OpenAI. And their release for ChatGPT-4, which will be integrated into the entire Microsoft platform, all your Word, Excel, everything's going to be integrated with that, along with their Bing search engine, will revolutionize the way we think, we learn, we communicate, right? ChatGPT-4 will generate human-like text-to-form conversations with people. It has a wide range of implications at all different levels. So you have to realize that right now, ChatGPT, which everyone's sort of like in shock, right? And what it can do is nothing compared to what's going to happen in 2023. This is 2022. This is 2023. And remember now, the software is writing its own software. ChatGPT-4 and the software is writing its own code, right? So we're going from an impressive 175 billion parameters of connections, right, to now, right, we're talking about 100 billion forms of connections. And just to give you an idea, this is the type of art that it created, right? So AI is no longer a future concept. It's happening now. It's going to accelerate and intensify. You just go to DALL-E Art or go to Midjourney Art. That's the other one that's being developed. It creates real looking images, right? We're looking at real looking images with DALL-E, and Midjourney is a little bit more artsy, right? But basically you can just type in text to image generators that hold the capability to generate mind-blowing digital images, right? Just from your own input, And now the upgrades are coming this year. So we're going to see the day where any type of art any human could create, right, will eventually, these AI will surpass. And now it's coming to music. Write a song the way John Lennon and Paul McCartney would write in the year 1964, would analyze all its music structure, use the lyrics that they would use in that era, and write the song out and play the song for me. We could do that compared to 1969 era. You could actually do that with the next iteration of ChatGPT. And, so we're basically going to see a revolution in that. We talked about plutocracy, the plutocratic fusion of big tech and big government. We're going to see that, right? It's the guns' fault, right? Big tech, big government, free speech. That's the big issue coming down. And then, of course, the U.S. Pluto return, along with Pluto and Aquarius, the Federal Reserve Bank and MIT developing and rolling out a central bank digital currency That's all coming.
Watch the recording of the Global Outlook 2023 webinar, recorded live on January 22, 2023. Get the geopolitical and macroeconomic forecasts and increased clarity of the transformational crisis and paradigm shift now underway, so you can take massive action to not only survive, but thrive in the year ahead. Register and get instant access to the Global Outlook 2023 webinar at williamstickevers.com or click the link in the description.